Hi, I'm Jennifer Ashley Tepper.
And I'm Joe Iconis, and you are listening to Album Podcast on the Broadway Podcast Network.
This week's episode is about Him Today, Gone Tomorrow, which is a incredible show-stopping rock and roll masterwork as performed and originated by Shakina Nayfack in her show Manifest Pussy.
And Shakina is someone that I've known for a very, very, very long time. And the origin story of this song spans many, many years and many rooms and whiskey and conversation and so many things.
This episode, we get to talk about this special track, which is particularly special because it's not often a song that's heard in many Joe Iconis and family shows. So it's like super special, rock out to your album. This song is a good one.
A rare gem.
I educate about what it's like to be in this state, to be him today, gone tomorrow.
Him Today, Gone Tomorrow. I love that this song is on the album because this song you wrote especially for our friend Shakina Nayfack from Manifest Pussy, which we'll talk about. But it's like a special song in that it's not like as frequently heard. It's usually just like within Shakina's show. So it's just really exciting to have it be included like on the album so we can listen to it all the time.
Yeah, and I'm so proud of the recording itself. I just love it so much. Yeah, and Shakina asked me to write this song for her show, Manifest Pussy, as you said. And the title is actually from Shakina because in the show, I forget the exact setup, but she talks about like sort of wanting to be a rock and roll star and mentions him today gone tomorrow would be one of her hit singles because the show is about Shakina's transition and um and uh and so she asked me to write this tune for her, and I remember when I wrote it, I knew that she said that she kind of wanted it to be about this transitional moment. So in like a story of many transitions, this is like a transitional moment in a larger transition, and so I loved the this idea of you know this idea of someone kind of being between two places, um, and and having having the realization that the in between is just as valid as the start of the journey and the destination. Um, and that idea is an idea that feels kind of like, hard to fully grasp. Like that idea feels very sort of sort of like in the ether. It's like a very sort of like ephemeral idea of like the in between is just as great as the start or the end. And so because of that, I wanted to musicalize it with music that felt really sturdy and really approachable and kind of like classic rock. Like so my initial like take on the tune as I was writing it was like I want this to feel like a like a theme song from like an 80s sitcom or something. It's like
Mhm.
I want it to feel like dad rock or something something that's just like this like really like hearty like meat and potatoes kind of warm sturdy rock sound. And then the song itself goes through like a bit of a transformation, kind of halfway through, and then to the ending where it feels like it gets a little more nuanced and brings in its different vibe. But yeah, yeah, I was so honored to be asked to write the tune, and Shakina herself embodies so many different things, and I wanted to like capture as many sides of her as I could in the tune, both lyrically and musically.
And can you talk about so like, obviously Shakina's a friend and collaborator, but how much
Mhm.
conversation did you have before you wrote this song, like specifically about what the song is about? And like how did her sharing like her experience inform the lyrics and stuff as you were writing them?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the specifics of the song, I met Shakina like at Barrington Stage Company many years ago, and so I had sort of seen her show, which is specifically about uh, her background, her sort of like childhood and young adulthood, and then her transition. I had sort of seen it kind of come together in various stages, from like nights of stories, around like a kitchen table with whiskey and El Nathan present, to like like proper cabarets where she told some stories and sang some cover songs, to like the one act version of the show where there was some original songs, and so I sort of saw it all grow, and the way that she's able to talk about her feelings, as a young person, as a young trans person, at a time when it feels like the the conversation about trans people and issues, the conversation, the sort of national conversation, is not what it is now, and it's like, and this wasn't that long ago that Shakina
Mhm.
was like a teenager struggling with this stuff, and the vocabulary for talking about it even was so different and just not there, but the way that Shakina is able to like express what she felt at that time and the clarity with which she felt it, even though she didn't have a lot of people to look to at that time. Um, and that was something that was really, really inspiring to me, and something that really made me feel like it was I sort of owed it to her to make something that accurately represented what I had heard her talk about for so long. But it's that, just like, belief in yourself and that confidence in something that feels so overwhelming, and something that feels so like, you know, so foreign and uncharted, and that like absolute belief in yourself is something that I both, relate to, and am really, really, really inspired by.
Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of times, like, a lot of the like the a lot of the things, the words kind of associated with transitions, both in terms of um gender affirming surgery, and just sort of transitions in general. I feel like a lot of like the words and ideas associated with those things are these kind of like, very sort of like delicate words and delicate imagery, and like really sort of, like beautiful, um, the whimsical, things, and notions. And when Shakina talks about it, she has that, and Shakina is very spiritual, and can sort of talk about it in this kind of like grand cosmic way. But there also is just this like nuts and bolts to how she talks about it, on this kind of like, like, get her done kind of, attitude, that is really, is I just think is really, really cool, and that attitude definitely worked its way into the song, just the vibe of it, musically and lyrically.
Yeah. It feels very, like, rock and roll on the album, like, you can kind of picture that '80s rock club that you were talking about
Hmm.
through her performance and the instrumentation and, like, all of it, and I kind of love that it's sandwiched between these 2 very different songs on the album, so if you're listening, it's really, like, a very different vibe and, like, a burst of kind of rock in the middle of it.
Yeah, yeah, and like this is actually an example of like, Velociraptor, which comes before this one. um as we're talking about, when we were talking about that song, like, Velociraptor is so much, someone who feels like they're the body in which they, in the body that they inhabit, that they move around the world in, is not, fitting in with those around them. Something feels off, and they feel displaced in some way, and they don't fully understand it. That feels thematically connected to me, to him today, Gone Tomorrow, the difference is it feels like Him Today, Gone Tomorrow is someone saying, I was feeling disconnected in some way, and so I'm connecting myself. It's like it feels like they're both on different sides of the same, issue or feeling or something. It's just Him Today, Gone Tomorrow is like, it's like if the Velociraptor, was able to just, fully embrace their Velociraptorness and be like, I don't care about what, anyone thinks. It's like it feels like there's a decision that has been made in Him Today, Gone Tomorrow that feels like maybe it starts with Velociraptor. And so like the songs could not be, more different. The subject matter could not be more different. The music could not be more different. But I do think that they kind of feel, like I wouldn't necessarily call them sister songs, but they feel like, cousin songs. They feel kind of connected
Mhm.
to me.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Could see that. So when this song was originally performed in Manifest Pussy, obviously like a different journey than most of your songs have because it was performed as an evening with like other people's songs and all of that.
Mhm.
Do you ever approach for this song or otherwise anything about this song differently when you know it's going to be part of a full narrative where you didn't write the rest of it?
Yeah, I mean, Manifest Pussy is it's sort of an untraditional musical in that there is there's a story, there's a narrative, but it does take the form of a concert. And so I had a little bit more freedom to write something that felt like a standalone song in the context of Manifest Pussy, um, than I would if it was like, a straight up book musical. So like, when I'm writing a song for something like, Blood Song or Be More Chill or whatever, it's like I'm trying to, start the song in one place and then leave it off in another so that the story can continue. And for this one, there definitely is movement. There's definitely a change throughout the song. However, I feel like it does kind of work as its own little standalone thing. And I was only able to do that because of the sort of like the concert structure of the show. But even with that, I was definitely writing for a moment that and so I knew that I had to like check the boxes of the moment, which is a different way of writing for sure. But also it like gets back to this thing that I always have where it's like I can only write something if I connect to it. Like I do not know how to fake it. I don't know how to pretend like I, see myself in a character or an idea or a thought. Um and and so like, even though it's Shakina's story, and even though the the context of it it is rooted in Shakina's own experiences, and then Shakina's musical, I saw a lot of myself in that story, and I connected to this moment that the character is going through, which allowed me to write the
Mhm.
thing. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I always wonder that about like the further process when things are like reviews or when there's song cycles with songs by multiple writers. And it's like the process is so different if those people are in a room versus not. Like, I almost want there to be like a Studs Terkel style, like oral
Mhm.
history of making the musical working because it's like, how do you as a writer contribute material when you don't know the other material? And like, you're given a scenario or a moment. But I felt like, and I saw Manifest Pussy a couple times, like, it's just fun to have different voices that like you usually see do their own concerts kind of coming together to tell Shakina's story. So it's a pretty cool project.
Yeah.
If you get to see it, listeners, if she does it again, check it out.
Highly recommended.
Other side, the bridge is just as beautiful as the solid ground on the other side.
Hey, thanks so much for listening or watching to my podcast. Do me a favor and go to wherever you just listen to or watch this thing and subscribe or like or give us a great rating or review, and then head to bpn.fm/album to find out even more information about this podcast, more ways to watch, more ways to listen, and check out my album. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Album Podcast is executive produced by Liz Armstrong, produced by Dory Berenstein, Alan Seals, Kim Garris, and the rest of the team at the Broadway Podcast Network. Be sure to visit bpn.fm/album for both audio and video versions of this podcast and to listen to Album.
Or do I just fall